Hello, and if I did everything correctly, and I think by now I should have learned, this live stream is now, live, and you should be seeing me. And just to check that, let me see my live stream page to actually check that it is working and that it has started, and it has. So, welcome in. Everybody, as you know, we've just announced the Scotch, as I'd like to pronounce it, and it's a pretty big release. And if you have missed the video, let me just pop it up quickly, and then we can actually get to the live stream where you can really ask me anything, and we can just talk about whatever you want. As usual, my live streams are very informal, so let's just give a look to my own video a second. Actually, let me fix the audio because otherwise you won't hear anything.
Okay, so technically speaking, I shouldn't be talking about this because, we are working on like KDE Plasma 6 and the new releases of KDE frameworks. And this one is a feature that's in KDE Plasma 6, and I built it
me leaking out features is almost believable, I guess.
On this for years for it to be on KDE Plasma 6, but recently...
Me working on something for years is not believable at all.
Recently, I was actually able to backport it to KDE Plasma 5, and I'm just so excited. Technically speaking, I shouldn't be talking about this, but whatever. Let me show you what it is. Okay, so this feature is what I call the Scotch, which is written as KNotch, and it's an applet. So we can actually just go into right-click, add widgets, and add it. And as I said, this one, and we can just add it to whatever panel on whatever computer, and it will just fit whatever panel you put it to. And just like this,
By the way, if you want, I can actually show you how I implemented the Scotch, really code-wise, because it's like 10 lines of code. So it's really simple.
To fully understand what this does, let's actually...
Because I actually implemented it. It's not a mock-up or... I actually implemented it. You can download it and use it.
Actually center it, so let's add a couple of spacers like this and like this, and now it should be clear. It's the Scotch, and of course, this is KDE, so this is like the most customizable things ever. You can just go into right-click, configure the Scotch.
I had so much fun in writing the settings because I put like 3 serious settings, and I was like, okay, 3 is not enough to drive the point home. Let's just keep adding them and just, whatever I thought about the notchiness of the notch.
And you've got basically everything you might need. So if you want it smaller, then, whatever fits you. Smaller is fine too, but also bigger. It really depends on what feels right to your device, because, what's the point of this? This makes you, whatever device you're using, feel just so much more expensive. Like, just look at this. Just by doing this...
Like, this whole video was totally improvised, and I had no idea whatsoever what to say, because, it's a Scotch. What do you want to say about it? So I just kept talking about whatever.
Increase the value of this product, which is a dial in this case, by 300 euros at least. And isn't that amazing? And of course, it's not just customizable in its size and appearance. We can use whatever, like touch to resize it.
It wasn't working here. I got scared.
It's actually to move it, and this is to resize it, as you can see. And what else? We can add more than one, because if one is such a big change, then let's go with 2. So the Scotch, let's add another one. And of course, each one is independent, which means that each one you can choose how it should. You can see people like walking by in the background, and what you don't see is that they were staring at me and they were like, what are you doing exactly? Because I had like the computer, the microphone, the camera, the camera stand, and that was weird. Look. And they are all different, so just like this, really. I mean, if this is not amazing, I don't know what is. So
The Scotch.
if you were looking for forward to KDE Plasma 6, now you know what the biggest feature is. And if you want to try this out, well, you can find it now on the KDE store. And by the way,
I actually haven't uploaded it yet to the KDE store because I'm lazy, but I published the code so you can download that one and try it.
I don't want to put out too much, but I've also sent this to another developer, and he's doing some very
Stay tuned.
interesting stuff with it, and you'll see later, so stay tuned. Of course, this also works if you like move the panel. Now you've got the sideways scotch, which is, so yeah, probably you should now go check out KDE official accounts and...
Yeah, that is it. Does it work on side panels too? Of course it works on side panels. Do you think I forgot about that? Of course it works. Sure. Fun fact, Gnome does actually have this feature through a third-party extension, and they do have it already. So sadly, this is not a Plasma. I mean, technically speaking, like Apple devices also have a notch, so they also have it. And Android, like the Samsung Tab S8 Ultra, does have notch. So it's not just Plasma, like everybody has it at this point. And let me fetch my live stream, my own live stream back. Yep. Nice, so this is the Scotch. If you have questions about the Scotch, I can answer them. If you want, I can show you the code. If you have questions about anything in KDE Plasma, I'm here to answer them currently. So, okay, colors. I did not expect to watch you live, then YouTube recommendation for that. Yeah. Now you're watching me live, that's good. So as far as colors go, I thought about it because it's actually really easy to change its color. However, in order to add such an option, I would have to add to the configuration UI a color picker. And I was way too lazy to actually add a color picker because I had never used color pickers in config UIs before, so I couldn't like copy paste the code from an older applet. And again, I was lazy, but it's totally feasible and it's probably super easy to implement. So it's probably coming soon. Does it save battery? I mean, if you're using an AMOLED display, technically speaking, the Scotch does turn off some of the pixels in your screen, so it does save battery to some extent, I guess. Why do people still use Windows when it still doesn't have such an important feature like this? Totally. I mean, I guess you could like take a black marker and try to draw it on the screen manually. That could be a workaround, but let's face it, it's not the same thing. Adding some green pixels for LED indicator is actually a pretty interesting idea, and it should be, again, super easy to implement. If you want to give it a try, it's like 4 lines of code, and it's not like even C++, it's QML, which is declarative, and it's really easy to get into. And did you like Plotinus? I haven't still tried it, but I actually plan to try it out just after this live stream. I have a to-do list for the videos for next week, and Plotinus is in it. You've been watching my videos for the last couple of hours. Thank you. It's all watch time, so I hope you like them. I'm really putting out a lot of effort to duct tape. Oh, that could work. I mean, you would probably have to cut the duct tape so it's actually rounded and then paint it black. I mean, could work. I think the Scotch is pre-turned though. Do you like Plasma 6? Totally. I totally love Plasma 6, and it's so hard to keep it a secret because nobody has to know that we already have Plasma 6, and so I just can't talk about it, but I use Plasma 6 every day and it's lovely. What's the feature of floating panel in Plasma? So hopefully they will be in the next version, which releases in June. Hopefully. I'm working on them actively. I have finished the panel rewrite, and I'm now focused on finishing up the implementation for floating panels. Like I took back my old code and it was way messier than I thought, so I had to rewrite it a bit, but now it should be kind of working. So some finishing touches and it should be ready by June, hopefully. If I screw up, then it's 4 more months of waiting. What's your extension showing 5.4W? Yes, it's the power consumption. In this case, I'm charging, so it's actually the opposite. It's how much I'm charging the computer by. But when I'm on battery, it actually shows how much power I'm using, which is pretty useful. Cut the screen. What do you mean with cut the screen? Sorry. After installing this extension, my laptop upgraded to an Intel Core i7 and 16 GB of RAM. Yes, that's a side effect. It's actually a bug. It shouldn't happen, but I mean, you seem to like it, so whatever. If usually people prefer i5 to an i7, so, but if it accidentally switches to an i7, I guess it's fine. We'll fix it later anyway. I'm happy you like them. I'm happy you liked my videos. When is KDE switching from Qt to GTK4? Probably next 1st of April, I guess. It was actually an idea that we thought about doing instead of Gnome. And it was like, back then the ideas were either we do a desktop together and call it Gnome, or KDE switches to GTK and Gnome switches to Qt. We went for Gnome. I think we did a nice choice. Gnocchi, yeah. Cut the screen to make a notch. Yes, that's another possibility. I wonder if the screen survives. Like I can take, like, I don't know, a cutter and go there. I mean, could work. You can try it. Send me a screenshot if it works. I think they're planning to switching to Electron instead of GTK. No, we're actually switching to paper and pen. So basically, instead of having a screen, we're just every time you click on something, KDE headquarters print the resulting page as a screenshot, a black and white screenshot, and then we email it to you via mail service. It takes about a week to 2 to actually deliver the results. Butter. Sure, butter. We can consider it. By the way, let me do a little, now that I see people joining in, a quick self-advertisement, which is this one. Everything I do is actually in my free time, and if I do have this free time, it's thanks to the people who donate to me, because otherwise I would have to get a part-time job, and if I get a part-time job, then no free time, no videos, no KDE stuff. So if you want my videos to keep going, I'm gonna ask you if you can to donate a bit. You can do it through Patreon, PayPal, or the YouTube built-in thingy. You know, if you have the possibility. I'm just... Let's get back to the comments. What language do you use? Mainly Italian, but I also use a lot of Python. I love Python. For developing KDE, sadly, there is like no Python at all, just a little bit of scripts, and it's mostly QML and C++. QML relies on JavaScript, so you also need to kind of know JavaScript. I would totally suggest, if you want to contribute to KDE, to read something about QML, because it's really, really easy to learn it, and it's super cool. It's like HTML, CSS, but better, in my opinion. And it's good stuff. It's really good stuff. KDE is the best desktop. I mean, Gnome is pretty good too. And actually, let me point out something. KDE is not a desktop. It's not a desktop environment. The desktop environment is called Plasma. You know, it's like the GNU Linux thingy. The desktop is actually called Plasma. KDE is the community of people behind it. Yeah, it's beautiful. The Scotch is beautiful. So what do you want to... Do you need to know Italian to contribute to KDE? No, that's just me. You can just use English. You do need to know English a bit, I think. Italian is just me. The cool desktop environment. Yeah, that was the original, what KDE stood for originally, but now it's like community of developers environment. I don't know. Plasma is the shell. Not quite, because technically speaking, Kwin, which is the window manager, is also part of Plasma. Plasma Desktop is a shell. There's also Plasma Mobile. There's Plasma Nano. Plasma is the desktop. What will happen if we remove Qt from Arc-based KDE distributions? That nothing will work? I mean, what do you mean? KDE uses Qt to work. So if you remove Qt, then KDE won't work. So no KDE, no Qt, no KDE. By the way, instead of QML, what do you think about Slint UI 60 FPS? It's like next gen QML. Okay, so you got me interested. Let's actually Google it. Slint, the fast and easy UI toolkit. Is it actually fast and easy though? I don't want a demo, I want a code example. Where is the code example? To do a demo. I don't want to see the app, I want to see the code. Where is it? Edit the online code editor. What does it look like? To do. Okay. What? Okay, so it is similar to QML, that's for sure. What language is this though? Style ugly. What's the language? It's like some C++, modified C++. There's a struct. We've got callback. We've got pixels, that's nice, minimum. That's interesting stuff though. I need to check this out. We do have views. Okay, so it's really similar and it seems interesting, so I'll totally check it out when I have more time, seriously. Kwin is not part of Plasma. No, I'm pretty sure Kwin is part of Plasma. If you go to KDE Invent, you can see that the Kwin project is part of Plasma. Like, look at here. It's right here. I mean, have you switched back to KDE Plasma? Not daily. I still use Gnome daily, and I want to try out Elementary OS soon. But for development, as an example, to actually implement the Scotch, I do boot into KDE Plasma. When will there be a remake of KDE 4? Well, you've got Trinity. I gotta check out Trinity sooner or later. I never tried it. Say, I use arc, by the way. Come on, what do you want to know about KDE Plasma? There's not enough questions. Let me actually pop up quickly the code of the Scotch. You can see that it is right here, and the main QML file is just this. So it's like, what is it? 58 lines, and it's pretty easy. So I've got 4 lines which are all Booleans, and just check what side of the screen the Scotch is in. 3 variables to actually read from the configuration the width, the radius, and the notch margin. Of course, the radius can't be as big as I want. If it's bigger than the Scotch itself, I need to turn it down. Then I just set the width to the notch width. Then I say that this applet should fill all of the space that is available to actually touch the screen edge. And then I have a simple rectangle, 2 rectangles, both that do have some margins if necessary, and one is rounded, one is not, and the one that's not rounded, which is this one, is actually smaller because I add more margin, which is the radius, so you don't see the top rounded corners, you just see the bottom ones. It's pretty easy to implement. Thank you, Zelfos. Thank you. Will you publish it to the KDE store? Yes, and as soon as I stop being lazy, I will totally do that. And yeah, I mean, everything is ready. It should be super simple to do that. Qt does support WebAssembly. Yeah, that's true. I haven't tried it, but I've seen it. Should I install Plasma on Gnome or Gokadee? I guess the question is Plasma or Gnome rather than on Gnome. I mean, you can use Plasma on Gnome, but you probably shouldn't. And what should you? It depends on what you need. If you want something that's fully customizable, fully with a lot of features that of course come with a bit of instability, go with KDE Plasma. If you want something that is simpler but super finished and polished as a product, then Gnome is probably what you seek for. How much would KDE Plasma cost? That's a question that I actually asked my Twitter followers. I asked them how much would they pay for KDE Plasma. Let's see if I can get back to that tweet. And the interesting thing is that I asked how much they would pay for KDE Plasma, and then I also, here it is. I also asked how much they donated to Plasma, and whereas most of them would pay between 5 to 15 euros to actually get KDE Plasma, most of them, the vast majority, has not donated anything to KDE Plasma, which is sad, understandable of course, but if you want to donate to KDE Plasma, I think this is a good way to change that. You love the naming of the Scotch. Avoid debating endlessly about how it's pronounced. Yeah, it's called Scotch. It's pronounced Scotch. There's no debate. I decided it. How do I compile a WebAssembly build? Okay, so there's some documentation. I've seen that. You can Google it and I think you'll find it. Kwin is considerably older than Plasma. Yeah, you can theoretically use Kwin with other shells and you can use different WMs with Plasma. So really Kwin is a separate component. Okay, this discussion is going much further than I wanted to. If you want to be really precise with the terms, you probably should ask some longer developer, I guess, or if you are one, then you know better than me, I guess. Yeah, if you love rising your desktop, KDE Plasma is totally the way to go. What got you into doing Linux development, whether that be KDE or other projects? And so I got into Linux because I accidentally destroyed my Windows installation when I was like 10 years old. And so my parents actually installed Linux on my machine when I was 10 because I destroyed Windows by accident. It was actually an accident. Later on, I switched to Windows back, and then I switched back to Linux because I was curious, and I liked it. I switched between desktops, and then I totally fell in love with KDE because I found that it was a desktop that was totally could be whatever I wanted, and I love customizing stuff. So within all of the projects in the Linux world, KDE was the one I liked the most. And I started joining like the development chats because I really liked the project, and I wanted to see what was coming, what they were working on, and eventually I started trying to actually implement some features, fix some small bugs. I started really small, but eventually it's really easy to get into development. Will you be reacting to Haiku OS? Why not? I don't need to Plasma even if I use Gnome. Thank you. Based parents. Actually, both of my parents use Macintosh, but when I destroyed my Windows, they were like, oh, whatever, let's put Linux into it. Do you have any advices to start learning QML? Yep, there is a QML handbook, a cookbook, something book somewhere. If you try Googling for the QML handbook, the cookbook, I don't remember the exact name. If you don't find it, just send me an email. You can find my email in any video description, and I'll just provide the link for you. Yeah, Linux is pretty good. I like Linux. Though it's something that I ask you, how much should KDE Plasma cost? How much would you pay for KDE Plasma? How much? I don't know how much I would pay if it's just one time. If it's just one time, KDE Plasma is really good, but I think it depends on the competition, because if it's too much, and I don't know, Gnome is free, for example, then I don't know how much I would pay, but it's such a cool project at the same time, so I would like totally say something. No more computers, yeah. That could have happened. Thankfully, my parents are very good parents. €69. Nice number. That's a lot. But I mean, it's KDE Plasma, so it's worth it. Have you donated €69 to KDE Plasma? Just kidding. Do whatever you want. Now I've got all of the people commenting, like the Scotch tweet. I know Plasma by KDE community is cool and handles large monitor very well, but what about multiple monitors? Any inputs for me? No, multiple monitors is something I'm really bad at. Let's see if I have any Twitter. Yeah, I've got 9 Twitter, Reddit messages. Just by doing this, increase the value of this product by €300 at least. So far, that's the best line ever today. Thank you. That was improvised actually, so pretty good here. Cool to see Plasma getting the jump on Gnome with this feature, albeit as a backported Plasmoid, and to be honest, looking a little junky. I actually did this in 2 hours, less than that probably, so it's totally junky. It's really junky. GNOME 44.20 will include the GNOME notch in the top panel by default. You'll have to wait for someone to make an extension to configure it. It will be implemented in all libadwaita header bars, short tree header bars. That's pretty funny. I'm ashamed how long it took me, almost 2.5 minutes in. Yeah. Christmas came early. Yeah, this is the KNotch. That's also a pretty good name though. The KNotch. I like it. It's for GNOME as well. Mind blowing, yes, certainly mind blowing. Where is this one? How many upvotes does this post have? 21. Nice. €69.69. Okay, it's not a lot. Okay, it's 69 euros as a student. For me, it's a lot. If I pay something 69 euros, then I need to think a lot about it because it's a lot of money. Feel free to donate some money to me to change my mind. You can just donate and pretend it's payment. Yeah, that's totally true. People would pay for Plasma-based distro, not just Plasma alone. That's also true. And then we should talk about how much money should go to the distro and how much money should go to KDE. That's an interesting debate to have. And thinking of moving to Linux, but I'm not sure if my accessories will work. Like I use the Xbox Adaptive Controller as mouse. You can try it out before switching to Linux. So you just have to, if you do a Linux USB, as if you were installing Linux, you can first of all just try Linux on the USB on your computer by booting from the USB, and it will be Linux in a test environment, so it will mostly behave as if it was installed on your computer without actually being installed. So you can just try out everything first, that everything works. Also, what I suggest doing if you're scared, and I think everybody switching to Linux for the first time might be a little scared, you can dual boot and have both Windows and Linux at the same time on your computer. And whenever you turn on the computer, you choose which one to use. So you can just be sure that nothing bad happens. As an example, my girlfriend does dual boot Windows because her printer doesn't work. The printer only works on Windows, so she just uses Linux 99% of the time, and remaining time is on Windows to actually print stuff. The GNOME notch, yeah. It should come to the title bars of the application. That's actually probably easy to implement, but I'm not going to. If you want, feel free. Is the Scotch a serious project to support the M1 MacBooks or just a joke? No, it's totally serious, and it's not just about the M1 MacBooks, it's any computer. Like as you can see right now up here, I do have the Scotch, and that's because it looks so good. Like, I mean, from purely an appearance point of view, it just looks good. KDE should get setups so we could donate to it as a charity when we buy Amazon stuff. It's only set up in Germany. I think we set up, because KDE is a German company, so that's why it's only in Germany. I think it was set up everywhere we could, I think. Yeah. I love it when Grub locks me out of my BIOS. Same. For dual boot, disable secure boot. Yeah, totally disable secure boot, always. Some games won't work if you have secure boot disabled. That's such a nasty behavior from them. You do have to disable secure boot to use Linux. Annoying. Consider that you can increase the value of a product by 500 euros just by printing a mutilated apple on it. So just imagine what the Scotch could do. Totally. And AV is not a company though. Okay, I'm not good with lawyers' terms. It's an organization. We need more young and energetic FOSS devs and user donation. So as far as young and energetic, there's actually a lot in KDE. I was super surprised about this. We had like at least 4 people. When I joined KDE, there were at least 4 developers who were underage, like I was. I was 17, there was like a 14, and then a 16, and so on. And that's impressive, honestly, because with so many people that young, I mean, I wasn't an incredibly good developer, but I was able to help out a bit in KDE, and the other underage developers were like super good and did giant refactorings in a couple of days. So I was like super impressed by them. OpenSUSE, Fedora, OpenSUSE, you said OpenSUSE 2 times. I guess you meant Ubuntu. I think Ubuntu has a signed bootloader. Yeah, that's true. I am hungry. I am indeed hungry. What time is it? Late. I don't know what I'm eating. There's some leftover pizza, I think. I mean, I'm Italian, there's always some leftover pizza. How would one start with contributing to KDE and other open source applications? So it depends on the project. In KDE, I've done videos talking about this. What I suggest to do is join the KDE development, VDG, and the promo chat rooms and get an idea of how things work. You can start small, looking over bug requests and seeing if there's anything you can do, even if it's super small, like changing strings. I actually started by changing some strings, and that was it. So that's what I generally suggest. Let me see some funny comments on my YouTube account. I'm receiving lots of comments and I want to read them. Sorry, but what does it do? It makes a scotch. I was expecting to see one-to-one gestures. Fun fact, one-to-one gestures are coming way sooner than Plasma 6. That should make him happy. As always, resource usage and consumption is where the battle is most intense. If 6 comes with even better resource management and is very fluid, then it is welcome. The acclimates, I think you missed the point of I wasn't actually talking about Plasma 6. Innovation at its peak. Better than Macintosh because of its customization. Yeah, you cannot customize the iPhone's notch. You can customize the scotch. Will be dark theme default in future version of Plasma? No, I think we'll stay with the light theme, but I mean, I can't know, but I think we'll stay with the light theme. You can always switch to Breeze Dark. Why is Breeze Dark so pretty compared to Breeze? Personally, I prefer Breeze, but it's up to you. Personally, I prefer Breeze. I spent a lot of time trying to improve both, but personally I prefer Breeze. Maybe once I'm done learning the horrible JavaScript, don't wait you'll never be done learning the horrible JavaScript because it's horrible and there's always something to learn. Try soon and learn among the developers. I didn't know any QML when I started, when I joined KDE as an example, but later I just learned it. So I totally don't like JavaScript, to be honest. But the only thing I don't like about Breeze is the selected blue, which is too bright and makes things hard to read on my bed screen. Yeah, now that you have accent colors, it's super easy to get rid of it. So nice. What is the difference of the blackness options, by the way? The least black is 255. Sorry, the opposite. 000. Whereas the purest black is 000. Have you seen Lightly? Yes, I've seen Lightly. I've used Lightly for months. Lightly is such a nice project. And it used to have the corners bag, the famous corners bag, but now that the fix has been implemented, in theory, Lightly could support it, so that it doesn't have it anymore. And I think it just looks gorgeous. Will there be a redesign of Discover? Yes, it's underway, piece by piece. Don't expect something to come from one day to another, but version by version, the things are improving. How far along is Plasma 6 development? I'm actually not following Plasma 6 development at all currently because I still have so many Plasma 5 merge requests, so that's where I'm focusing. I think that within a couple of years, Plasma 6 should come, I think. Do not expect it to be a giant release with everything changing at all. It's mostly stuff that's underneath the surface, behind the scenes, but that you actually need to rewrite once in a while. It is indeed a very big span of blackness. I choose it carefully. Especially, I meant the full-time developers on FOSS Word, but there are not many. I mean, in general, there are many full-time FOSS developers. Probably not many compared to proprietary, but many in general. In KDE in particular, not as much, because KDE does not actually currently hire any developer to work on KDE, sadly. I think that there's some ongoing work to change that soon. So, anything else you want to ask me before I go? Quickly. The KNotch. Yeah, this one actually has the green LED, so that's pretty smart. I should have implemented it. It totally almost looks like it's an actual notch, by the way. KDE release schedule says there will be 2 more versions before switching to 6. Based on the current situation, how many new 5.xx releases are needed? Also, what should be in focus in the last releases? Okay, does the KDE schedule actually say that? Let me fact check quickly. I don't think, because if you see future releases, we've got 25 and then we've got 60. Now, it is true that there's not 27. It doesn't necessarily mean that there won't be a 27.27. It could very well happen anyway. 2 versions of Plasma are like 6 or 8 months. 8, I guess. I always forget about that. And I was under the impression that a bit more time was needed, but I mean, technically speaking, it's 1 year because there's then 4 other months for the next release, but I don't know. I think it might be slightly more than 2 releases, but I might be wrong because, again, I'm not actively following the development of Plasma 6. What should be focused in the upcoming releases? I can simply tell you that Plasma 5.25 is going to be, in my opinion, the single biggest release of Plasma 5. It's going to have so much stuff in it. I'm super excited and I can't wait. I'm hopeful because technically speaking, a lot of features have not landed yet and they have to land before half of May, but hopefully they will land, and I think it will be one of the biggest release. I mean, the biggest release in my opinion. When's Discover rework? It's currently underway, currently underway. Which Italian city are you from? Genoa, the one in Liguria. Have a nice lunch, thank you. No questions for me, but I wanted to say keep up the good work. Thank you, I'll do my best. Yeah, 5.25, because I already told you about the overview effect and it's going to improve. I already told you about one-to-one gestures, and that's a pretty big deal. I already told you that I hope to have both my panel rewrite and floating applets, panels in it. Hopefully, if I'm lucky, also floating applets. So, and even more, there's a lot of very cool stuff that could land with some lucky, and I hope will be lucky. Why KDE Plasma Dark theme look ugly as compared to the light theme? You've just said the opposite of the other person asked the opposite thing. I don't know, it's such a subjective thing. Let me pop up Dark Breeze really quick. Appearance, Breeze Dark, Plasma Style, Breeze Dark. Does it look back? Ooh, it's buggy. Nice. Yeah, I had seen that back. We are missing the header bar in applets in the dark theme. I don't know why. I should probably try to fix it. Probably. But I mean, to be honest, except for this little bug, it looks good to me. I don't know what's up with this. I mean, it's a bit grayish, I guess, but that's because it takes color from the background. If I have a blue background, as an example, let's take blue. If I have a blue background like this, the panel is going to be tinted blue. If I go with a green background, it's going to be tinted black. You can see that it looks so pretty. I mean, just look at this. It just takes the color from the object that's behind it and it's tinted. I just love it. I don't know what's up with it. It looks fine to me. That's what I'm trying to say. If you have some objective issue with it, then I can surely try to address it. Like, yeah, it's missing the others. Where was I? No, seriously, here. I hope the Steam Deck stays up to date with KDE Plasma wise. Same, I don't know if it will. I don't know about that. I don't know. Are there any plans for Wayland coming up? I mean, Wayland is getting slowly improved release by release. Currently, I use KDE Plasma Wayland as my... when I use KDE Plasma, I use KDE Plasma Wayland. For me, it works perfectly. There are still some issues for other people, and those other issues are getting slowly fixed, release by release. So it's not a big plan. It's just a plan of getting everything to work. Is Quantum going to be integrated into KDE Appearance? Nope. Gotta go. Bye-bye. What about pinning windows so they display over focused windows? You can do that. It's right click in the sidebar and then more actions, and then keep above others. Bye bye, Xalfos, and love from India. Hello, India. And I think I'm gonna go through. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go through. Thanks everybody for staying, and before you disappear, let me focus again on the thing that I'm doing this on my free time, and it's not easy to do that. So if you have some spare, like even if it's like a couple of euros, that helps. So you also get access to secret videos. If you just contact me saying I did the donation, I will add you to the secret videos group. So that could be helpful if you want to know what I'm working on. And except for that, thank you everybody, and see you Monday with the next video.